Welcome back to Kubernetes Crashcasts. I'm Sheila, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Victor. Before we dive in, we'd love to hear from you. If you're enjoying our podcast, please take a moment to rate us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us reach more listeners like you.
Absolutely, Sheila. Your feedback means the world to us. Now let's get into today's episode. We're wrapping up our chapter on what is Kubernetes, with a summary of everything we've covered so far.
That's right, Victor. And to kick things off, I've got a quiz question for our listeners. Here it is. According to a 2021 survey, what percentage of organizations were using or evaluating Kubernetes? Is it A, 48%, B, 68%, or C, 88%?
Ooh, that's an interesting question, Sheila. It really makes you think about how widespread Kubernetes adoption has become. Without giving away the answer, I'd say that regardless of the exact percentage, Kubernetes has definitely made a huge impact on the tech industry in recent years.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into our summary, let's quickly recap some key terms for our listeners. Victor, could you give us a quick refresher on what container orchestration means?
Sure thing, Sheila. Container orchestration is the automated process of managing, scaling, and maintaining containerized applications. It's like being the conductor of an orchestra, but instead of musicians, you're coordinating containers to work together harmoniously.
Great explanation. So, speaking of orchestration, can you give us an overview of what we've learned about Kubernetes in this chapter?
Absolutely. We've covered quite a bit, but let me break it down. Kubernetes, often called K8s, is an open-source container orchestration platform that automates the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. It was originally developed by Google and is now maintained by the Cloud Native Computing Foundation.
That's right. And we learned about its history too, didn't we? Could you remind our listeners about how Kubernetes evolved?
Of course, Kubernetes actually has its roots in Google's internal system called Borg. Google's experience with managing large-scale applications led to the creation of Kubernetes, which was released as an open-source project in 2014. Since then, it's grown to become the de facto standard for container orchestration.
Fascinating. You know, I've been thinking about Kubernetes, and it reminds me of how a city manages its infrastructure. Can you elaborate on that analogy?
That's a great analogy, Sheila. Imagine Kubernetes as the city management system. The containers are like buildings in the city. Kubernetes, like city planners, decides where to place these buildings, scheduling, ensures they have the resources they need, resource allocation, and makes sure they can communicate with each other, networking. If a building needs repairs or goes down, Kubernetes, like the city's maintenance department, can automatically replace it or fix the issue.
That really helps put it into perspective. Now, we've talked about the benefits of Kubernetes, but what about some common misconceptions? Are there any pitfalls people should be aware of?
Absolutely, Sheila. One common misconception is that Kubernetes is a cure-all for every infrastructure problem. While it's incredibly powerful, it's not always the right solution for every situation. Small applications or teams might find it overkill. Another pitfall is underestimating the learning curve. Kubernetes is complex, and organizations need to invest in training and possibly hiring specialized talent to use it effectively.
Those are great points, Victor. Speaking of complexity, could you share some best practices for organizations looking to adopt Kubernetes?
Certainly. First, start small. Don't try to migrate your entire infrastructure at once. Begin with a non-critical application to learn the ropes. Second, invest in automation and CI/CD pipelines. That's continuous integration and continuous deployment to take full advantage of Kubernetes capabilities. Third, prioritize monitoring and observability from the start. Kubernetes can manage complex systems, but you need visibility into what's happening. Lastly, keep security in mind from day one. Kubernetes has powerful security features, but they need to be configured correctly.
Excellent advice. Now, let's talk about real-world implementations. Can you give our listeners some examples of how companies are using Kubernetes in production?
Absolutely. Companies across various industries are leveraging Kubernetes. For instance, Spotify uses Kubernetes to manage its microservices architecture, which helps them scale to millions of users. Airbnb uses it to manage their continuous delivery pipeline, allowing them to deploy code changes rapidly. Even non-tech companies like Capital One use Kubernetes to modernize their infrastructure and improve their ability to innovate quickly.
Those are fascinating examples, Victor. Now, before we wrap up, I think it's time to reveal the answer to our quiz question. The correct answer is C, 88%. According to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation's 2021 survey, 88% of organizations were using or evaluating Kubernetes. That's a staggering adoption rate.
Wow, that really puts into perspective how important Kubernetes has become in the tech landscape.
It certainly does. Now let's quickly summarize the key points we've covered in this chapter. 1. Kubernetes is an open-source container orchestration platform. 2. It automates the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. 3. Kubernetes originated from Google's internal system, Borg. 4. It offers benefits like improved scalability, portability, and efficiency. 5. While powerful, Kubernetes isn't always the right solution for every scenario. 6. Adopting Kubernetes requires careful planning and investment in learning and resources.
Excellent summary, Sheila. I think our listeners now have a solid foundation in understanding what Kubernetes is and why it's so important in modern infrastructure.
Absolutely, Victor. And to our listeners, we hope you've found this chapter informative and engaging. If you want to dive deeper into Kubernetes, don't forget to visit crashcasts.com for additional resources. We also have a vibrant Discord community where you can discuss these topics with fellow enthusiasts.
And if you're enjoying our content and want to support us, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Your support helps us create more in-depth, quality content like this.
That's right. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and rate us on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode where we'll start exploring how to get started with containers.